Hello again. It's Paul from New Jersey Recovery and Wellness. Thank you for continuing to stay with us as we commemorate National Recovery Month by talking about how to support a person in your life who you know and love who has a substance use disorder. Today is day 19 of our 30-part series. Come check it out. "19. Talk about your experience." You may be thinking, wait a minute, how does me talking to them, the person in my life with a substance use disorder, help them? There's lots of different reasons for this, but trust me, it does help. More than you probably know right now at this moment. Although there's multiple functions to talking about your experience with people in your life, the primary objective here is a practice in self-care and connection. More often than not, if you have a person in your life who has a substance use disorder and you've been being personally affected by some of the events that have been happening, it's probably hard for you to talk about this. This is natural. I get it. And I want to encourage you, it's time to start to talk about your experiences. When we experience shame, we like to hide that experience. It's not particularly comfortable to air our dirty laundry or to talk about things that bring up uncomfortable emotions. When we're talking about our experience, we're empowering ourselves by working through these difficult experiences. It may not come naturally, and yet it is vitally important for you as well as for the loved one in your life who has a substance use disorder. First and foremost, when we're talking about shameful experiences, we are healing. People begin to heal when they feel heard. If we're not talking about our experiences, people in our lives are not able to hear us. It's going to be hard to heal if we're holding on to a lot of negativity. The reason why we typically hold on to this stuff is because it's uncomfortable to talk about. We feel shame towards these experiences. At the end of the day, we all have shared experiences, even if they're ones that we happen to feel shameful towards. By working through our shame, we can dispel it. We can connect with other people who we know and who we trust to be able to allow us to be vulnerable with them. This may be a difficult emotion to work through. The gains are exponential. By pushing out our boundaries and talking about these uncomfortable experiences, we're gathering support. We're letting people in our lives know that we are in pain, and we're allowing ourselves the opportunity to see that we have people who are willing to be there for us. We may know this intellectually, being able to identify, I know I have friends. I know I have people in my life that care about me. I have other individuals that can support me. Sometimes we don't practice our own internal knowledge by connecting on an emotional level. It's easier for us to be there for another person who's going through a difficult time, whether it be grief, other situations that are happening in their lives that are causing them pain. We won't think twice about being there for other people. And sometimes we won't allow ourselves to have other people be there for us. We need to challenge this paradigm. As I had mentioned before, this is a practice in self-care. It's okay to focus on yourself. We all have individual needs. More often than not, you're probably spending a lot of time being there for other people. Maybe the individual in your life who has a substance use disorder. From time to time, you're going to need your own relief as well. Finally, through talking about your experiences, you are connecting to other people. As I've mentioned many times in this series, connection is an essential function to humanity. When we are not talking about what's going on in our lives and we're not being vulnerable, we're not connecting. That's not good. Connect with people. Avoid disconnection. So by now, you're hopefully understanding the benefits of talking about your experiences. Maybe some of the items that we listed before really ring a bell for you in your particular situation. Now, we're going to shift and identify whom you might feel comfortable sharing with. If you see the benefits of talking about the painful experiences that you have been going through, and yet aren't exactly ready to be vulnerable with the people in your life who are close to you, maybe you want to talk more anonymously about what's going on. This is certainly an option. There's many ways to anonymously seek out support. Some individuals do this by going to a self-help meeting. Self-help meetings can be in person, or of course, because of our current pandemic, there are many self-help meetings that are offered online. It is completely optional if you choose to share your image on the camera. There are also meetings that are done strictly on telephone, so there's no video involved. You can choose what name you share. People very, very commonly do not share last names, as these meetings are meant to be anonymous. Some people want to talk more personally with someone face to face. However, a person that's not intimately involved in their day-to-day lives. Maybe this is a person who can offer an outside perspective or help in another way. This might be a reason that a person could see a therapist to talk about their experiences. Sometimes it's a venting ground to be able to lay everything out and sort through the pieces as you're trying to work through your emotions. Other times, people go to therapy with specific goals in mind, and the therapist can then collaborate with the individual to work towards those goals. Regardless what the purpose is, this is another place to be able to talk about your experiences. If you see the benefits of talking about what's going on, and you want to connect to people who are there in your life who you know are loving supports, you can definitely talk to family and friends about what's going on. It's actually really encouraged that you do this. This also serves multiple functions, because not only is this a practice in self-care for you, but in being able to talk about your experiences to other people who are in your life, as well as possibly in the life of the person in your life who has a substance use disorder, you're not only gathering support for yourself, you're also gathering more support for your loved one who you think might benefit from making a couple of changes in their life. I mentioned this other point before, addiction thrives in secrecy. When we bring it to light, when we talk about what's going on, it has less room to spread. So talking about what's happening is beneficial for you as well as for your loved one with a substance use disorder. And finally, you can talk directly to the person in your life who has a substance use disorder. If your loved one has ever been through treatment before, or maybe if you have made some social connections with families who have been in a treatment setting, you may have heard about a particular exercise called a cost letter. Cost letters are where the individual who is in treatment receives information from their family members or other loved ones in their lives about their loved one's experience. So family members are going to write down everything that they have been through and offer it up to the individual so that they can see the costs of their addiction. You may do this in a treatment setting, or you may want to do this in a therapeutic setting so there is a third party to help navigate the process, or you can very easily do this on your own at home. There's a couple of key ideas that you want to consider when thinking about having this type of conversation with a person in your life who has a substance use disorder. It is vitally important that you be non-judgmental. Just the same way that you may be experiencing shame over some of the experiences that you've had over the past period of time, your loved one with a substance use disorder also may be experiencing their own shame, probably more so. By being judgmental, we enhance their shame. We don't want to do that. These exercises are about enhancing connection. So for these reasons, we need to be non-judgmental in talking about our experiences with our loved ones. When we're being non-judgmental, we also want to be non-blaming. It's no one's fault. It takes two to tango. One person has a behavior, another person has a behavior. We may feel hurt, and that's okay. Our hurt is our emotions. It's our responsibility. Also, pay attention to your language. We want to use I statements. The idea of I statements is separating it from you statements. Think about how you may start a conversation. You hurt me. That is a you statement. We are blaming another person for our emotion. You hurt me. What about if we change that around to when you are using I feel hurt? We're identifying the behavior of the other person, and then we are owning our emotions ourselves. I statements are important for our own ownership to help us be sure that we're not blaming the other person. You're going to want to be objective and talk about your experience. When we're objective, we are keeping strictly to the facts. Talking about our own experience may be a little bit different because it can have some opinion. It can have some subjective components to it. So we want to be as objective as possible and at the same time identify and own how these objective items personally affected us. Hopefully this makes sense and you can navigate through this. And of course, when we are talking about our own subjective experience, it's going to be important to open up about your emotions. You would have no idea how common it is for people to talk at length about what's going on and not once identify one particular emotion about how it affected them, how it made them feel. We want to make sure that we're opening up about our emotions here. The entire point of talking about your experience is to connect. You're gathering your own support and practicing self-care. In recovery, there's a common expression: you're only as sick as your secrets. Just like our loved ones, if we hold on to our shame and keep it a secret, it'll negatively impact us and create more problems in the future. You can model appropriate behavior that may be helpful for your loved one once they consider starting to make some life changes. Thank you again as we continue to commemorate National Recovery Month by talking about how to support a person in your life who you know and love who has a substance use disorder. If you liked what you saw here, please do click that like and subscribe and ring that bell so you can get notifications for other videos that come up in this series or other videos on this channel in the future. And please share this video with others that you think would benefit from the information. We here at New Jersey Recovery and Wellness appreciate you. We'll catch you next time.